value propositions. I think like many other things in business, everybody's got their own view around what a value proposition is. And we often talk about the fact that you have to make sure that when you look at any kind of technology, that this technology fits your business and that you don't have to mangle and almost disassemble your business and put it back in a whole different way just so that it can make the systems work. But there's one very interesting angle that my guest is taking around technology and value propositions. And that's what we're going to get into today. This is actually how you align these two with each other so that you can make sure that you deliver on that promise. So looking forward to chatting to Gareth Hopkins a little bit more today. Good morning. Warm welcome back. And I must say a warm welcome back just to add that extra bit of oomph and fire to today because it is cold where I am. And I understand from my guests that it's cold where they are. So yeah, it's a really middle of winter. And I was also reminded this morning backstage that today is the 21st of June, which I wondered why this date sounded so familiar, but it's the shortest day and longest night today, turning off the season, and we're only just getting cold now. Interesting times we're living in. Anyways, warm welcome this morning. Thank you very much. There's already some people saying hi in the chat. Do say hello and do also say hi to each other in the chat, which is absolutely what this is also all about. Today, we talk about value propositions and technology and how you can make sure that you align these two with each other and sort of a whole host of other discussions that Gareth Hopkins and myself is going to get into. Gareth is from Firestorm and the Fire Group. They're a bigger business than just the tech part of it, but we're going to get specifically into these topics today. So looking forward to that. We had an amazing discussion a few weeks back, and I said to him, I think this is a topic for the show. And here we are. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Gareth, for joining us today. Obviously, then, well, I'm happy and unhappy. That's how things go. But I am happy that I'm not doing this alone. I've got Lelani here, Lelani Vizadanite from the FBI, and she is bringing us all the latest, greatest news. And then David Kopp is here with Bulletproof Your Business and talking about one central idea, which I'm really excited to hear more about. And then, unfortunately, Razan can't be here today. So, unfortunately, we don't have Brandworks, but she will be back in full force in the next round, that it is her turn. So, all the best to Razan, and we will fly the flag, even though you're not here. So thank you very much. Righty, so let's get into today's show. Let me say a warm good morning, and let's say, no, Kobus was here first. Where are you, Kobus? Here you go. So Kobus, good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for saying good morning. Alfred, good morning. Also in here very early. Got Elna, good morning. Thanks for saying goeiemorgen. Heloise, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Neil Phillips, good morning. How are you doing? And then Vuledzani, good morning, Vuledzani. Always nice to see you here. Ferry, good morning. If it's cold here, only presuming the Free State is even colder. So yeah, Nivite, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Thank you very much for saying hi. And Kobus saying the studio is looking good. Thanks, Kobus. Johan, good morning. Nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi. Mr. Craig Finch, good morning. Nice to see you. Willem Bester, goeiemorgen. Nice to see you. Arun, good morning. Arun, Paul is probably warm. You know, Paul is like the Pretoria, I think, of here. So when you're in Pretoria, even though Lelani says it's very cold in Pretoria, it's still a little bit warmer than Joburg usually. And I think Paul is even a little bit warmer than Cape Town. So yeah, you need to let us know, Arun. Anyway, Frank, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for saying hi. Charmaine van Wyk, goeiemorgen, Charmaine. Nice to see you. And Melanie, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Right, ladies and gents, let me hand over to Lelani with the latest news, and let's get the show on the road, as they say.
Yes, good morning, Fransha, and everybody online. It's indeed a little bit warmer in Centurion this morning. as I opened the door for my two beautiful furry friends, I could feel there's a change in the air already. Maybe it's just all in my mind, I don't know. But welcome to this morning segment of FBI Current Affairs. Now, there's no updates from the Financial Sector Conduct Authority other than the normal type of exemptions. It's a list of people's names, who's been exempted from certain fit and proper requirements. What I did note, it's mostly RE5. Interesting. So let's then talk about other updates that I could find on MoneyWeb specifically. So let's talk about cryptos and SARS. So the South African Revenue Services, and I always say it in full because some of our international guests, if I say SARS, they may actually think it's a virus. So the South African Revenue Services is intensifying its oversight over cryptocurrency traders in South Africa, warning them that their tax records are being scrutinized using data from various crypto exchanges. Non-compliance could lead to criminal charges under the Tax Administration Act. This is part of SARS's broader effort to ensure that all due tax are indeed collected. Experts from Tax Consulting SA have indicated that many crypto traders mistakenly believed that their activities were outside SARS's reach. Nothing is ever outside their reach. Now, SARS has made it clear that it can request transactional records from crypto exchanges similar to how it obtains information from banks, and past non-disclosures could be subject to a massive investigation. Now, Vian Oliver from Forest Massage noted that while SARS does not automatically access the data from the crypto exchanges, it does make targeted requests for information. He expressed concerns over SARS's way and the approach of trying to prosecute instead of actually having clear guidelines in terms of how compliance can actually be improved. Oliver also highlighted the challenges in tracking crypto transactions and mentioned that SARS is actually using AI to better detect non-compliance, although its success largely depends on that one word that we all sometimes battle with, the quality of the data. Now, additionally, the application of the exchange control regulations when trading cryptos against major currencies add another layer of complexity for compliance. The increased UI and forensic services by SARS indicates a move towards a stricter enforcement of laws on crypto trading, effectively reducing the anonymity and privacy of traders that they previously enjoyed. Then normally I try to give an update of where we are with the BHI Trust scam. So I found a very interesting update on Moonstone's refinery last night. So the trustees of the BHI Trust's insolvent estate needs to recover well over 1.5 billion. I'll say that again, 1.5 billion to satisfy creditors' claims and to, of course, recover some of the costs. Now, Craig Warren, as we know, the BHI Trust funds after surrendering to the authorities and admitting to guilt late last year. The trust was provisionally sequestrated by the Johannesburg High Court in October last year, with Gerdewet and Sumaya Mohammed appointed as the joint provisional trustees. It was formally sequestrated in February this year, with the final trustees confirmed on April the 15th, which is, of course, DeWet and Mohammed. Now, the BHI Trust scam led to a significant loss for more than 206 investors. Now, in the latest update, they confirmed to the trustees that over 812 claims totaling over the 1.5 billion has actually been proved by the people and shared in the creditor circular following at a meeting late last week. Now, creditors who wants to inquire about their claims can actually contact the BHI Trust Claims Department on 087 803 5038. Now, we do have a lot of corporate partners at the FPI, and I found quite an interesting update at one of our corporate partners, Alex Forbes. Now, we've known about Outvest for some time, but starting 1 July, the Outvest digital investment platform will be fully integrated into Alex Forbes, following the acquisition from Outsurance in February. This integration, which is part of the group's digital transformation, aims to enhance client experiences and promote retail growth by digital ecosystem developed over the past 2 years. Now, Outvest, now operating under the internal name of AF Invest, will offer a range of simple, low-cost wealth products supporting both automated and human advice, administration, and asset management. But additionally, there's another update. Additionally, Alex Forbes is expanding into the discretionary fund management, in other words, DFM market, with investment solutions by Alex Forbes. This new service will provide independent financial advisors access to a variety of asset classes and is supported via a partnership with the global investment firm Mercer. The company aims to attract significant assets and establish partnerships with independent financial advisors in the first year in the DFM market. Then, Fransha, from the FBI side, thank you so much for everybody that appointed the annual general meeting, or in short, the AGM last week. We really appreciate your support. And David, I noted that you were online. Once an FBI supporter, always one. So thank you. Remember to register for the convention in August. It is on the 14th and 15th of August. And I can't believe I had to look at my calendar to confirm that. But indeed, it's in August. Visit the FBI's website to register for either online or in person. And remember, this year, the convention is in Cape Town at Century City. And for the professional competency exam, that is in July, the registrations are still open. Please remember to register. And then in closing, one of my favorite authors is Patrick Lencioni, and I listened to his latest podcast this week, and his podcasts are available on Apple Podcast or Spotify. I listened to him on Spotify, and in episode 233, he talks about the power of word of mouth. Now, this is not marketing. The power of word of mouth is where communication is preferred to still be in person. So stop sending all those emails and copying everybody. Pick up the phone or go visit somebody and have a cup of coffee and talk about what's on your heart with each other. With that, have a blessed weekend. Back to you in the studio in Somerset West. Francois, ciao.
Thank you very much, Lalani. Brilliant stuff. Once again, thank you so much. And next up, we have David Kopp, and with his segment on Bulletproof Your Business, talking about one central idea. So, David, over to you.
Good morning, everyone, and great to be with you again on this Friday morning. So yes, we're talking about one central idea. So strategy used to be about starting at point A and getting to point B. Point A is where you're at. For point B, you decide, where do we want to be in the next 5 years? And then let's let the fun begin. We look at BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. We develop a plan to get you there. The problem is this approach to strategy is fundamentally flawed. Here's a question to you. If I was going on an international holiday in 5 weeks' time, would you advise me to buy dollars now? I mean, after all, the dollar is just hit the lowest point for several months on the back of the election results. Or would I have to buy the dollars at the airport when I leave? I'm sure that if we were live and I asked you to put up your hands, I would get 50 different opinions to that. Now, if I asked you, would you bet your house on your answer? I'd probably get all the hands going down and no one would bet their house on the answer. Let's also consider the game of chess. There is no right answer in the game of chess. Yes, there are rules, but how those rules are applied is varied. And I think that's got a very big parallel to the new regime of principle-based regulation that we're going in. So if we think about the fact that each side has 8 pawns and 2 knights that can do the opening move, there are 20 possible moves that can be made before the game has even begun. After both players have played their first move, there are 400 possible moves available. And after 2 moves, there are 72,084 positions that can be taken. And after each player has played 3 moves, there are over 9 million moves that can be made. The question is, how do you plan in an environment like that? If in January 2020, I told you that we'd be locked in our homes for several months and only be allowed out for food and essential items, you would have think that I had watched too many dystopian sci-fi movies and that I was crazy. But 2 months later, this is exactly what happened. If I told you your business would move from a face-to-face contact to at least a hybrid model, if not fully virtual, would you have believed me? What happened to all the plans which relied on us sitting across the table and having a cup of coffee with our clients? So if we cannot move from point A to point B, what is the answer? Well, this is where the idea of one central big idea comes from. We look at the work done by Prussian military strategist Carl Philipp Gottfried von Clausewitz from 1780 to 1831 and his works Von Kriege, or On War. This approach considers realism, considering the complex and uncertain manner in which events unfold, taking into account human nature. Strategy is not a lengthy action plan, but rather understood as an evolution of a central big idea. In the American military today, this is considered as the commander's intent. A typical approach to the commander's intent would be the commander would say, secure the strategic outpost on the south side of the battlefield. How this is accomplished, however, will be determined by the men on the ground who are facing the realities of the moment to work it out for themselves. I think it was Mike Tyson who also said, all plans go out the window once you get hit in the face. But now let's move from warfare to business. So while a lot of strategic thinking comes from military backgrounds, there are applications in business. In his book, From Good to Great, Jim Collins refers to the hedgehog concept. So this is a simple method which says, what are we passionate about? What can we best in the world at? And what drives our economic resource engine? And let's focus on that one thing rather than trying to do very many things. So this is a concept of a central big idea. How can this be practically applied in your business? Well, let's say you sit down and you say, our central big idea is to create an enhanced client experience. How do you implement this? Well, firstly, you make the decision. You say our decision as a business is that we are going to enhance our client experience, and that's what we're going to focus all our attention on. You then look for the passion. Make sure that everyone in your business is passionate about delivering a client experience that delivers to them. Then you become the best at delivering the client's experience. You learn everything you can about your target market and make sure you deliver exactly what they need. Several years back, when I was investigating fee-based practices, I came across a practice in Canada, and their target market was teachers. So they weren't in the most wealthy people, but they developed such processes and understood teachers so well that whenever teachers got together for a conference and financial matters came up, this business was mentioned because they were the best at what they did for teachers. You consider your processes. So what does your client onboarding look like? Is it designed to deliver the experience that you want? Are you delivering a personalized service? We know that in today's age, hyper-personalization for consumers is most important. Are you using proactive communication? Okay. We don't want clients phoning us when markets go down or something happens and asking us, what is happening to my investments? What is happening to my life cover? What do I need to worry about? We're being proactive and communicating in a way that the clients think we knew what was going to happen before it did. And are we educating our clients? You then need to protect your central idea through feedback mechanisms. So you'll never know unless you ask. So develop questionnaires, develop mechanisms to find out that what you're doing is actually meeting the needs of your clients. What is your quality control in place? You know, if you've got a certain way of being, a certain way of doing anything, how are you managing it that everything is done like that? We often say that in business, the personalized service needs to be at the forefront, but the systemization needs to happen in the background. And then most importantly, in this day and age, how do we protect our data security? Both our clients' data security, as well as the security of our business's data. So while I've given you a concept that you can think about taking your business forward, I also think this has massive application in dealing with our clients. Think about it this way and how financial planning has evolved. If you're working collaboratively with your clients on a financial plan that is drafted with a big central idea in place, what is the one thing that this plan needs to achieve? And the client and you both have roles in implementing and make that plan happen. And lastly, here's your fun fact for the day. Football teams wearing red kits play better. The color of your clothes can affect how you perceive by others and change how you feel. A review of football matches over the last 55 years, for example, has showed that teams wearing red consistently played better in home matches than teams of any other color. So if you're creating a client experience, colors do matter. How you dress matters. How your environment looks matters. And make sure that is all aligned to the experience you want to deliver. And back to you in the studio, Francois.
Thank you very much, David. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yes, colors do matter. Everything else matters. It's actually the small details, I think, that matter. So thank you very much for that. I really, really love it. And next up, just a couple of quick announcements. Alrighty. Okay, so first things first. Day of CPD is finally rolling around. There's lots of it's been going on. So unfortunately, we did move the date. So we moved it to the 10th of July, which is in about 3 weeks' time. It's on the Wednesday. It's from 8:30 in the morning until about 2 o'clock, 10 to 2. And let me just explain what this Day of CPD is about. So in the past, we used to have this as part of the Global Financial Planning Conference. Because we weren't able to give CPD when people attended the conference. It was a free morning, and it was included in the ticket rather, and you could attend that. And we did a live pod, which gave people about 6.5 CPD points for attending the live ones, between 5.5 and 6.5. And then the rest we made available through online pre-recorded content to make up 18 points. Well, what we're doing this year, because now we are able to give CPD through the for the Global Financial Planning Conference. And now what we're doing this year is that we've got a series of 4 days of CPD. So it's from 8:30 in the morning until about 2 o'clock. So it's not a full day, almost full day. We've got some breaks and things in between. But the idea is if you attend all 4 of them, that will also make up 18 points, because we find that there's a lot of time and effort that goes into and a lot of support and management that needs to happen for online self-directed CPD stuff. And also people don't tend to go and do those. So what we're rather doing is having these live virtual events, and you attend them. And once you're done, you're done. And if you attend all 4 of them, that will get you close to 18 or maybe to 18. It all depends. I can never guarantee that because there's a lot of things at play. But excited for the first one. The very first one, we're not going to charge for. So we're making it available with our compliments to absolutely the entire profession. So you're able to attend the Day of CPD, whether you're a member, because members always attend our events for free, so they don't pay for that. But this very first one, we want to get the word out there. We also want people to experience exactly how our CPD is different from other CPDs, because we are focused on what are the issues today, what are the things that advisors need and that planners need and that they really want, and things that's going to make a difference in their lives. It's not just about the CPD points. So that's what this is about. So you can look forward to some incredible discussions on the 10th of July, all live, virtual, so you can do it from anywhere. And no, there will be no recordings. So it's live only. We're going to do these Day of CPDs live only. No recordings. I'm going to say that again. So you attended live, you get your points. You don't attend, you don't get your points. Very, very simple. This year, this very first one, we are going to have a bunch of things. We're going to have a fantastic regulatory update. So there will be some ethics points up for grabs as well, which is absolutely amazing. So we have that for the first time, because we never do that. We're going to get all into design theory, which is quite an interesting one as well. So we're going to do that. We're going to look at being digitally savvy in 2024 and what are the absolute things that you need to know about from that point of view. There's going to be stuff around advice engagement and more. So we're going to get into some behavioral things as well. Really excited for that. The agenda will be published early next week. The registrations will open early next week, and you'll be able to, because you still need to go book your seat. We still need to send you details and communicate with you and have your details for CPD, etc., etc. So there's still a process, but all of that will go out early next week. So looking forward to the Day of CPD. Mark your calendars, 8:30 until, let's say, 2 o'clock on the 10th of July. So looking forward to that. Right. So that's the Day of CPD. Then next week on the 25th, we are finally kicking off the Client Connection Masterclass. And this one is only for Propulsion members. fantastic program ahead. It's 5 weeks. And the way that we've structured these sessions with Kim, apart from the fact that Kim is amazing, I mean, you've seen her here on the show as well. She runs one of the segments, and she's absolutely phenomenal at conveying her sort of concepts and ideas and things like that. But what is the secret sauce on top is her practical experience with it. It's the fact that they use it in their business. It's that she uses it with clients each and every single day. All the advisors in their business use it with clients every single day. So you're not just getting the theory. And the way that we've structured these sessions is that it's an hour-long session for 5 weeks. There's 5 different sessions over a 5-week period. And it's on a Tuesday from 9 until 10. And she's going to get into midlife and retirement stuff and sort of meaning and money and meaning and things like that. So it's going to be an incredible session. We did send out emails about this, so just check your email if you want more information. Get in contact with me. But it's really an incredible program with Kim. I don't know what's going on with my brain this morning. Jeez, my brain is stuttering. I think I'm buffering or something. Anyways, so that's happening on the 25th. And you've got to be a Propulsion member to get access to this. And so go check it out, propulsion.co.za. The link is down below in the description, where you can find out more about what we offer you at Propulsion and also how to join. So you can do all of that. Then lastly, if my brain does not leave me this morning, we continue. We just finished productivity and using all the planner things within Microsoft Teams. So we're continuing next week with meetings and how to really have productive meetings using Teams. You know, often we think about Teams as just one of the meeting platform options. So do you want to use Zoom, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, or do you want to use Teams or Google Meet, or which one do you want to use? And that's how we use it. But there's so many more things that you can do whilst in a meeting. So we are going to get into that next week with Richard. Also, our members have full access to the Microsoft Teams training. You can't get access in any other way than to be a member. So looking forward to continuing that conversation. Righty, so then, maybe if I switch cameras, I'll stop buffering. If you like what we do, please just like this video, let us know. Share this video with others, tell others about the show, and invite them to the show. We would really love to have more people here for the live part. A lot of people are obviously watching the recordings and things as well. So thank you very much. If you've watched this far and you're one of those, say hi in the comments, and thank you very much for doing so. And also consider to subscribe. We really appreciate that. It doesn't cost you anything. It does mean that you'll get a notification when we go live and things like that. But that's about it. So, ladies and gents, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. My coffee just literally arrived now. There you go. Cheers to everyone. Thank you for being here. Next up, I'm going to not hand over. Although Gareth will get a stroke if I say I'm handing over to him. But let me welcome Gareth Hopkins to today's show. Thank you very much. Gareth, what's going on with me?
Good morning, Francois. Good morning, listeners. Thank you very much for having me on my show, on your show. Also going on with me. It's my show this morning. So
I love it. Thanks so much, Gareth. This is going to be a fun one this morning. I'm looking forward. There's some incredible stuff that we need to talk about, and I'm glad we've got a bit more time than usual to actually do that. But before we get going, I mean, one of the things, like, it's amazing to see how well Gareth looks. He's got a young baby still, so it's been a period now for 5 months. So Gareth,
5
looking
weeks.
good.
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Oh my word. I thought it was 5 months. You see. Oh wow. Even better, man. That's up on you.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about yourself, Gareth, just like who you are, where you're from, and then we'll get into the deets.
Thanks, Francois. Yes, so obviously new father, very proud of that. So in fact, interestingly enough, today is my first year wedding anniversary too. So that's also quite new, I guess, in the scheme of things. My name's Gareth Hopkins. I am a director at the Fire Group, and more specifically Firestorm Technology. I have been operating in Firestorm for the last 15 years. We started and are still very much focused in the financial services sector. It makes up a very large portion of our client base. We built this practice or this technology and this business from the ground up. Literally, it started as most things do, where we built it for it was built by an advisor for his practice and expanded out. So anyway, I won't kind of focus too much on the product, but yeah, sales and operations and support. As you know, you kind of multifunction when you are an entrepreneur. And we've been working with FSPs for the better part of 15 years now. So excited to continue, bringing value to the market, excited to continue innovating and learning. Learning is the key. You think you know everything until you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Until you get punched in the face, as David.
That's it. Correct.
So one of the big things as well, when we think about the technology side of things, often as technology companies or technology providers or developers of technology, I know, like, you've got a long list of feature requests and people want all sorts of weird and wonderful things, until you ask them also, like, what are they going to do with it once they have it? That's also a different story, but that's not the point. I know that tech providers tend to, like, we want to build this and want to make it more robust, and we want to have like feature reach and all of these kinds of things. You want to put more tech in. Yeah. And I think financial advisors and planners are probably in a point where they just want to do less tech. Because so they want to use less systems. They don't want more systems, even though at the moment, like, that is probably the landscape, but they want to take it out. Now, you have a very interesting background in the sense that you've been on the business side of things and you're also on the technology side of things. Can you maybe just share a little bit about, how do those two worlds intersect, and how do you think, do you think differently about technology when you are talking to a business and somebody who's just focused on the tech and they want somebody to buy their tech? Is there a bit of a different approach there?
So you mentioned something so poignant that we see every day, which is feature requests. Feature requests come in all day, every day. And I always, tongue in cheek, if any of my clients are listening, I always say, so are you going to pay for that feature request? Are you going to pay for that dev? And obviously, I'm joking, but the idea is that, everyone, that people panic, people find a need, or they at least find a small need. Something's happened once. I need to do this. I need to do that. And they hone in and then they ask you for that feature. And the problem is that on the tech side, on the dev side, our side, you can get caught up very quickly, losing your direction and building things that are maybe useful for one client or one instance in one client's journey. And I'll tell you that for free. We've got features in our system that have probably been used once or twice and never used again. Not a lot, but that's the nature of the beast. And when you're chasing it, you want to say yes to everyone. No one likes to say no. No one, wants to tell a client no. So you get caught up. But I think the key is to just stop and consider. You in development, you've got a roadmap and you've got processes that you need to follow to make sure that you are adding value, not only technically, but obviously to what the product is trying to solve. So it's the hardest job in the world, determining what's important and what's not important. And I think the biggest key in that area is to just take a breath and go slow, and I guess that goes for all businesses, for whatever it is. You've got to make sure that you understand what it is that you are being asked, what it is that you are wanting to build, or going to build, should you build it, and how you're going to move forward from there. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I want to say yes to everyone. But or else you're going to have this platform that is just so convoluted and you'll never get it off the ground.
Yeah, and as you say, I think that plays directly into business, because we say yes to clients. They are also sharing feature requests with us in business, in
Yes.
financial planning and advice and servicing and all these things that we do. We also get feature requests. We just don't realize it. And before you know it, you're running around like a headless chicken trying to please everyone, which is a bit of a problem. So let's get into value propositions, because that's really at the heart of this. So on the one hand, there's value propositions. On the other hand, there's the technology and sort of how these two actually play together, and then how we can go about. So I'm really keen, like I said in the intro, there's, I think like many things in business, everybody's got their own idea of what a value proposition is. It took me quite a while to formulate something for myself to try and say, well, that's what a value proposition is. But I'm quite keen just to start with, in your view, like how do you articulate value proposition for business, and why is it crucial for them?
Absolutely, this is spot on and very often overlooked. If I could say that, we all are creatures of habit, and we do because we've always done, and we're not necessarily purposeful. So let me say this: the value proposition, as I have always understood, and from the research I've done and the learning that I've done, etc., is your value proposition is your promise to your clients. Okay, your promise of value. Why are you going to pick me? Okay, the value proposition is ultimately the reason a client chooses you over the next person, advisor, whatever it may be. Okay, so this value proposition is the reason people choose you over someone else. Okay, your unique differentiator. Now, what we always purport in our business or businesses within the FIRE group, but also when we are consulting, to our technology clients, this should drive your purpose. Okay, your value proposition may be nice and broad and diverse and dynamic and whatnot, but if it's not driving your purpose, it's a waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort and potentially resources. So define your purpose. We in the FIRE group believe that there is one single purpose for a business. Okay. And that is the creation and retention of clients. A single purpose, creation and retention of clients. Now, everyone might say, or a lot of people might say, no, it's money. No, it's meaning, it's purpose, it's blah, blah, blah. That's measurement. Okay. Measurement of your purpose is how much money you have, how many houses you have, how many clients you have, how much market share, whatever your measurement is that suits you, how many smiles you get per day, that's measurement. Purpose, creation and retention of clients. Okay, if you're a business. Otherwise, you're a nonprofit, and you're not a nonprofit, but say that tongue in cheek. So the idea is that driving your purpose, everything you do all day, every day needs to drive that purpose. Okay. To make sure that you are delivering, you need to clearly define your value proposition. Okay. Now, all of us in the financial services sector will have heard from many years, segment your client base, determine what you do for who. The idea is that comes from a very important place. Value proposition, we cannot give everyone the same. Okay. We should give everyone the same level of service, but not the same amount of service. Okay. So we all know when we walk onto a plane, if we're sitting in first class, business class, or economy class, it's differing levels of service. It's not because I'm less important or more important. It's because it's what I've chosen and what I'm doing. So define your value proposition, define your segment, okay, or segments, and then deliver on that. All right. It sounds simple. And obviously, if we had more time, I'd open that up. But essentially, what you need to do is you need to be able to define that, target and identify that, and then deliver. And that's what we're talking about today, is delivery and delivery systems.
Yeah, and it is quite because I think that's the hard part, is that a lot of people know, this is what I should be doing, until you sit down with that blank piece of paper, and then you feel like, oh, okay, so now what's happening? Like, I don't even know where to start. Am I even on the right track? So, I mean, are there maybe some tips around, how I can practically just, if I decide, because for me, it's like, I think back to when I started Propulsion, which was called something completely different in the beginning. But when I started this back 2014, the thing came up the other day. So with 10 years that we've been going now, it's like absolutely mind blowing to think about that. Yeah, it's crazy. Because it only feels like yesterday. That's the problem. But
Beautiful.
when I started, like I literally started off saying like, what do I? It's almost like start with what you have, where you are.
Sure.
You know, that kind of approach. And I just thought like, you know, my natural thing would be to work in the financial planning profession. The big question for me was, what would I do? Because I could deliver advice to clients, which I was doing at that point in time, and I didn't enjoy any second of it, simply because there was too much emotion involved for me. And then on the other hand, I was thinking like, okay, so I know I do that. What do I have? I have knowledge, I have skills, I've got those kinds of things, and I've got a very unique love of things. So almost like the ikigai thing of where everything comes together. But I was just thinking like, you know, I love business, I love education, I love technology a lot, and I love content creation. So what can I do where these four things are at play all the time? Maybe not all at once, but they are always part of the equation. And that eventually became what we're doing today. But I was clear, like I know I understand financial advice and plans. I was in their shoes. I worked alongside them for a very long time. So that was sort of my beginning. But if you're there and you're starting off new, you know, or even like I always like these things are amazing for me. Like you could be brand new in financial planning, or you could have been here for 20 years. The beauty is you can decide to do things differently today and change things around. So the question I've got then, you know, how do I know then what's the starting point for my value proposition? Because all I had was who I wanted to work with and sort of the kind of things I wanted to do, but I did not have a value proposition at that point in time. So I don't know. Is there any thoughts on that and ideas?
100%. So it's going to sound so simple and almost ridiculous, but the starting point is to ask. Okay, very, very often, more often than not, businesses don't ask their market what they want. You know, we all talk about research, we talk about delivering value, etc. I think one of the things that resonated, Francois, if I may, when we chatted with, you know, that resonated with you is our what we called our 3 pillars of a successful relationship. And to get to that, we had to do the research. I sat, and I'll talk about myself now in my business. I sat in the early days, in the late 2000s, in shopping malls, okay, at golf courses, whatever it was, wherever I could get an event or a table or whatever the case is. And I asked people walking by, what do you want? Now, I was building something for financial advisors. So I said to them, for example, if we were your financial advisor, what would you want from us? Okay. Because what we wanted to do was we wanted to build a platform or a tool that was going to facilitate what FAs needed to do for their customers. So we needed to know what FA customers wanted from FAs. Okay. And then we were going to go and build that. So to kind of draw it back is to say, ask your customer, right? Yes, of course, when you're starting out, let's just take the insurance or the investment game or whatever in the financial services. You're starting out on the basics, right? You're selling insurance, you're selling RAs, you're selling whatever you're selling. But as you refine and define, you go further. But the only way you can do that is ask. So you learn what you like to do. So I don't want to sell insurance, I only want to sell investment. Or I don't want to sell product, I only want to sell advice. Whatever it may be, that's fine. But eventually you're going to define your target market. And this is another critical thing that my mentor tells me regularly. Not everyone is your target market. Okay. That is, and we none of us like to none of us. Yes, it can. It might not be used as well, but the idea is that not everyone's a target market. So don't chase everyone. So define your target market, define your value proposition, and that's going to be defined by your target market. Who are they? What do they want? Okay. If you look at the billboards of the you know, I find that I am the target market of the pineapple insurance. I don't have that product and it's not a plug, by the way, but I like their marketing because it's funny, because it appeals to me. They've defined their target market. those people who've given up dating apps for running apps, you know, or whatever the case, it resonates. The people who dialed in for ADSL and it went, and they've written that out there on bloody Hyde Park. And it's fun. It's funny. So they've defined it. They're not trying to reach my parents and they're not trying to reach the Gen Zs. They're trying to reach that market. So define it, ask them what they want, and then deliver that to them.
At the heart of all of that is the ask. Like, that's the big thing that I always also say to people, like, you know, have you asked? I had somebody message me in the week, say, I've got this idea. So he's into do some other stuff. And he said, well, I've got this idea and I want to train people on this and this and this, because then they can sort out their own problems. And I said, well, it's a great idea, but have you actually asked these people if that is what they do? Do they actually want to solve their own problems? Because if they don't, you're just wasting a lot of time and effort.
Exactly.
You know, so it's one of the big lessons, because we built a lot of stuff just on hunch or on what I thought was cool, and then it went absolutely nowhere. Recently, again, to be fair,
but there's nothing wrong with that. It's learning as well.
Yeah.
You know, you got to also take
wasted.
a chance. You know, build something, do it, and you know, you got to have some sort of so yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that. But ask. If you don't ask, you're going to keep going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's then talk about technology as a business delivery platform, because that for me is at the heart of everything as well. So technology is a tool. It's an enabler. It's how I define it. So it is not the value proposition, in my opinion. But I'm quite interested to hear, where do you see technology fit now into this equation? So let's just say that I've got my value proposition. I'm very clear on my purpose. I know what I'm trying to achieve, and how am I going to do this? What am I going to do in this process of creating and keeping clients? You know, how, like, where does technology then fit in?
100%. So again, I'm going to go, you know, I'm going to obviously, you know, as your English teacher says, write about what you know. So I'm going to, you know, talk to my space and my experience. And we believe we've built a delivery system, and it's not so much about it's more about why and how. So the reason we built what we built was because calculations and projections and all of that jazz, which is, you know, very powerful tool and very powerful tools and systems, are there, and they do what they do. Okay. Delivery is unique to your value proposition. So in our learnings, as I mentioned, sitting in malls and all of that jazz, we found out that relationships were key. Outside of or above everything: product performance, administrative efficiency, trustworthiness, product options, price, commission, all of that jazz. Relationships are number one. And David hit the nail on the head earlier when he said communicate. Okay. The client is, you know, a relationship is being able to comfort your client when something goes wrong. You can't stop what's going to go wrong. The markets happen. Okay. Things happen, whatever it may be, out of our control. Your relationship and your value prop means that I'm communicating regularly, or whatever it may be, the comfort in knowing that that person's there to have your back. Okay, that's the key. You know, whether it's investments or insurance or whatever it may be. Okay, so for us, we needed to say, how are we going to deliver that, and how are we going to facilitate technology delivering value prop? And we came up with our 3 pillars of a successful relationship. Pillar number 1 is know your client. Okay. So you've got target market, you've got value prop, etc. This is the process, right? Know your client. Who are they? What do they want? Why do they want it? Okay. In order to do that, you have to engage. Engaging is calling, meeting, emailing, SMSing, communicating. It's engaging. Okay. It's contacting, it's engaging. We all know if you can't have a relationship without communication. Okay. So engagement and communication. In that engagement and communication, you learn your client, you learn what they want, what they need. That's going to drive and inform what you give them, your value proposition, your delivery, right? So you need an engagement platform. Okay, a platform to reach out, not only to reach out one way, but to receive responses and to record those responses and then use that data, okay, to filter and search and subsequently deliver, which brings me on to pillar number 2, which is be relevant. Okay, so know your client, number 1. Number 2, be relevant. You can only be relevant if you know your client. All right. You can't be relevant if you are shooting from the hip, shotgun spray, sending the same message to 5,000 people who are differing in age and whatever it may be. So you need to be relevant. Is it a business owner? Is it a parent? Is it a retiree? Whatever it may be. I'm using generic examples, but relevance is critical to personalization, customization, and you use your learnings from engagement to be able to be relevant. But again, you need a platform. You need an information management platform. Okay, so you need to be able to capture the learnings, the data, etc., on your system, on a system. Okay, because with that, you will then be able to be relevant, target the right audience at the right time with the right information. We always talk about say the right thing at the right time, or reach the right people with the right information at the right time. Okay, so that's relevance. Excuse me. And finally, we move on to value. Now, value is obviously, objective or subjective at least. And that's really up to the person who's creating and obviously the person who's buying. So value is a mix of your skill, your knowledge, and all of those good things, and how well you put that together and package it and deliver. Okay. So delivery is taking everything that you do, that you've learned, and giving it, essentially, allowing the customer to consume it. Whether it's proactive, whether it's reactive, it doesn't matter. As long as the customer knows they are happy. Guy Holwell at the Global Financial Planning Summit recently, talked about it's all about client experience and expectations and assumptions. Expectations and assumptions are one of the most dangerous killers of a relationship. Okay, so if you remove all, or at least create expectation, but at least have control over that expectation. Okay, what do you expect from me? I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. If I do it, I've delivered. If I don't do it, I haven't delivered. It's when we say we expect this, we expect that, we assume you would have done that. That's a problem, and that becomes very dangerous. So our pillars: know your client, be relevant, add value, and your technology is your engagement, again, in that place, engagement platform, information management platform, and delivery platform. Okay. None of that had a product. None of that had a calculation. None of that had a, anything like that. It was engagement, and it's relationship driven.
So talking about, you're building this business of value. You have a lot of information in your systems, however, in whatever way you do that. I'm sort of keen to talk a little bit about business continuity. And one of the other things you said, well, it's, the purpose of business is to create clients, but also to retain clients. So, how can businesses then ensure continuity? Because I think you get two types of business people, right? Maybe more, but roughly you will fall into one of two camps. Either you want to die at your desk and the business must die with you, or you want something that lives beyond yourself. So you build that business in two very different ways, depending on your view and sort of what you want this to do. Some people have no need for the business to continue, and other people would love for this thing to become even bigger after they've gone. So how can businesses ensure ensure continuity and also client retention through the use of technology?
So again, in the context of technology, that is one area. It's a large area because your technology, as specifically the technology that we are talking about this morning, that retains your business information, your client's information, your relationship information. So that's core. There are other things to business continuity outside of your technology, but essentially business continuity is the ability for your business to continue operating or delivering basic services in the face of an emergency or something that is unexpected, loss of a staff, natural disaster, hardware infrastructure goes down, etc. So the idea is that at least at a minimum, you can pick up and you check your information. Okay, if your laptop's stolen, that stuff needs to be off-site. If your staff member leaves, You need to have what's in their head and what's happened between them and their customer relationships in the platform. So it's all of these things to say business continuity. We talk about a thing called knowledge management. That's the retention of all information and knowledge into a place that supersedes the people. Okay. So you hit the nail on the head. I want to eventually be a person that steps away or maybe not sells my business, but the idea is that you can sell a business and it can continue without the owner, or the founder, or whatever it may be. So you need to be able to make sure that it's got that continuity, despite who is there, what is there. That knowledge and that information facilitates that. A specific example in the financial services sector, something, as we all know, called re-intermediation, when a client moves from one advisor to the next. And this is just a very simple example. A client moves from one advisor to the next. What are we giving them? Okay, is it a name and a number and go forth and multiply? Or is it an entire history of that client's relationship and transactions and communications and documents and everything?
Yeah. Business continuity is actually a multifaceted thing, right? It's not only about exiting or that. There's so many other things that you mentioned. And obviously there's a lot of value in having all of the information in a central place, because that's the power of it. And we're not even talking now about other benefits to the business, because now we need a whole episode for that as well. But I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you, Gareth, seeing that it's Firestorm. I thought quick fire questions would be appropriate today. So I want to sort of just very quick, as quickly as you can answer these. Maybe
Sure.
just quickly, are there any particular technology trends that you are seeing that we need to be aware of in financial services?
So there's two parts to that. So there's the first part is I have noticed over the last few years, the trend has been moving away from crunching to relationshiping, if I could say that. So people have realized I need to run a business and not a production factory, So that's a big one, which is beautiful for us and frankly philosophically as well as commercially. So F&A is great, investment tools great, all of that's great, but the client doesn't see, they see the output of that. That's a great thing. You need your relationshiping, your business continuity stuff. So we've seen that. Then we've seen, as always, we see buzzwords and hot topics, etc. The two biggest buzzwords of late, and I guess, call it of late in the last couple of years and year, AI, obviously, and automation. AI, AI is making its way through. It's a tricky one, not a tricky one. It's an interesting one, but it's something that needs to be used within the existing knowledge set, skill set, value proposition. You can't just, this robo and all of that jazz. AI is great. I'll tell you what, I use a thing called Read AI. It takes minutes of the meeting that I have. It summarizes it. It creates action points. It does a whole range of things. Okay. Again, that's not going to run my business, but it's a portion, so it's complementing. So AI is fantastic. I spoke to a client the other day. They did an example of an estate plan. They wrote the entire this was into ChatGPT. They wrote the entire estate plan breakdown prompt, if you will. Do this for this customer. This is what they have. This is the thing. This is the tax bracket. This is the country they're in. They've got businesses. And it spat out pretty much the exact plan that particular individual would have created themselves. However, the client can't prompt that because they don't know what to prompt. So you still need the advisor. So AI is one, and that's going to filter in as we move forward. Automation, also critical. I think it was David who mentioned things in the background need to happen, but we need to be wary of automation, guys. We need to be very wary of automation. Automation, Bill Gates' most famous, or for me, most famous quote. Any type of automation introduced into an inefficient operation will magnify its inefficiencies. However, introduced into efficient operation will magnify its efficiencies. So be careful, because not that you don't know, but you forget. Okay, you send an automated birthday message to someone you shouldn't have. You send a meeting request or something to, I was booked an appointment with someone the other day, and their system didn't sync with their calendar. They missed my appointment. So that was an automated process. That person didn't phone me, make the appointment, and have it kind of in their head. It was just so these things are good, but we just have to take care. So AI, automation, those are some trends that we're seeing come out in the business, in the industry.
Yeah, cool stuff. Right, so I'm out of time to ask more quick fire.
I'm sorry, man.
No worries. But those are very, very insightful. And it's interesting on that note of automation. Let me share this. So when we book the session, our system is automated to now remind people when we haven't received certain information from them by a particular point in time. And the first time the automation went out, I get a copy of it. So I sent Gareth a message. I said to him, Gareth, ignore this. I've got your stuff. No worries. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, I never got Gareth's stuff. So Gareth thought he sent me his stuff. I thought I got it. And the automation was actually working well, although we thought it didn't.
So also understanding it and its potential shortfalls is critical as well. But we're here in the end, so it worked out well.
Brilliant. Gareth, thank you very much. An insightful conversation. If you want to, there's a link down below where you can connect with Gareth on LinkedIn. So you can find him there and learn more about what it is that they do. And also just, build relationships, connect with Gareth, and he'll be really keen to connect with you as well. So Gareth, on that note, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Francois. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Righty, so that's it for another fantastic episode. Thank you very much for joining us. There weren't many comments today, so I'm just going to highlight one of them. So Neil was saying, just like advisors cannot be everything to all clients, tech companies cannot be everything to all advisors, which most try to be, and in so doing, water their value proposition down. I think that's such a valuable comment and something that deeply resonates with me and that I deeply agree with as well. It's always about that. And going back to what David was saying earlier around, that one central idea, that's it. And there's some more stuff we'll talk about. But I'll be back next week with another topic. And I think I already know what that is going to be, because there's one critical aspect of anything in your business that we need to talk about, which I'll talk about next week. So keep an eye out. We'll announce that on the social platforms. But for now, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining us. Really deeply appreciate it. Stay safe, be blessed, and prosper, and continue to raise the bar. Love you. Bye-bye.